What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin. But before we do, I just want to say thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all for the love and support and the subscribes over the past 3 years and 2 months that this channel has existed. We've hit 50,000 subscribers today. It's a momentous occasion. It's quite the checkpoint, and I'm very proud of how far this channel's come. I'm proud to see how far it goes from here. Just thank you all again, and let's move on. Let's stop buttering the bread and talk about this now. We're here to do TA based on the relevant circumstances, and in honor of that, yesterday had a very massive dump, what we call in the space a flash crash. Crypto is pretty prone to flash crashes, and then not too long afterwards we get a nice pump. But how long afterwards? I think today what I'd like to do is I'd like to go through every flash crash scenario that we've had between this cycle and last cycle and see what the aftermath was, how long it took for us to recover and see a new relevant high, or in this case an all-time high. I want to go over that because some people right now think the bull market's over, we're dead, we're going down, that was just the beginning of more to come. Some people think, all right, we just shook out all the weak hands, now it's time to rally, I hope. And some people like me think, all right, we shook out all the weak hands, it's good, we're going to rally from this, but first we got to figure ourselves out, configure ourselves, and then maybe in a month we'll start to rally, something like that, right? Maybe going into the end of October we'll come back up, and then going into November should be a good month, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something very similar to this ugly squiggle that I have drawn here. Anyways, let's go back in time and check out any of these flash crash moments that we've seen. So, clearly right here we did have a nice little flash crash over like a few day period, but this isn't what I'm talking about, right? This in one day, that kind of candle, it just stands out, right? Where Bitcoin drops literally from a high to a low in one day, 16%. It's different. It's different than the whole move over a 3-day period being like the same, or a 5-day period being the same percentage. So I want to see something that's a little bit more dramatic, like this one, right? This one here, from a high to a low, we dropped about 16%, and that was awesome. This drop here, immediately we recovered. We recovered how much in the course of like the 3 days afterwards? From a low to a high, we recovered 28%. Overall, pumping 30% here in the first like few weeks there, right? However, the high that we had was here. This is our relevant high. We did not get above that high after the flash crash until 84 days later. 84 days later. That's almost 3 months. Okay. Almost a quarter of a year later, we spent our time consolidating before we actually broke out and saw new highs. 3 months from now would put us in January, right? Like it's a long time. So just keep that in mind there. Let's move on. All right. Would this count as a flash crash? Maybe. That was a pretty, I'm going to count that as a flash crash, 14%. I don't even remember that day. I'm sure not a lot of us do, right? And this is just, again, a little relevance as to how insignificant these moves are as time goes on, right? These are just moments before we actually rally. This one, we actually moved up right away. We moved up right away. We saw 24%, and then we consolidated for a very long time afterwards. But we did move up right away. I'm going to count it. I think a flash crash should be anything that's, let's say, based off of this standard, 14% or more. Let's do that, 14% or more a day. If it's like 13.5, we'll count it. But from here, high to low, 10%. It's like you had a flash crash, but I wouldn't count it, right? Let's see. Maybe this right here. 12%, pretty close. And if you want to count it, we can. It's kind of like a flash crash, I suppose. It was very boring, relatively speaking. It's not quite 14%, but we got above this price for the first time 60 days later, so 2 months later, right? Not really a flash crash here, just a consistent downtrend, right? It's a little bit different. A little bit different. Bear market flash crash, I suppose, right? The very, very end of the bear market where we had 2 consistent days of just dramatic dumping in a row. It took us, let's say, to get above this high, it took us 69 days, 2.5 months there. Oh, a little bit less than 2.5 months. Now we're in the bear market, so we're not going to measure bear market flash crashes, okay? We're just going to measure bull market flash crashes. I think this counts right here, right? In a day, high to low. Yeah, 19%, that's definitely a flash crash. How long until we got above that high? And we're going to look back at all this information here at the end. So 30 days. That's encouraging. That's definitely encouraging. Massive flash crash here. It took us a long time before we got above that high. I don't even want to measure, right? That's probably, this measurement will probably be irrelevant. It's an outlier. But before we got above that high, that was from May until October. So like that was a very long time there. And that was probably technically after the bull market anyways. Flash crash here. High to low. Yeah, 20% in a day. I'd say so. Flash crash there from our high, right? From the low. How long did it take for us to get above this high? It took us about 28 days. That's nice. 2 in a row. There we go. Again, with this little flash crash here, right before we pumped, right? Immediately pumping afterwards. So it does happen. And granted, this happened at all-time highs. This is a flash crash that happened at all-time highs, and not that we saw one at all-time highs, but kind of, right? We hit all-time highs first, and then we dumped down, and then we moved up, rather immediately. So we can count that, I suppose, technically. It does happen. It does happen. 20%. That's bigger than what we saw today too, or yesterday technically. Oops, I'm trying to measure here. I don't think that's probably not it. Let's see. Maybe it is. High to low. 13. That's 14%. We moved up immediately there too, so that's nice. Okay, so we got two in a row. That's good. And again, coming in, oh, that was just below all-time highs in all fairness. Flash crash here. Right, this is kind of more what I'm expecting to happen. A 13%. We'll take it. We'll count it. We'll count it because you're so neutral. That is like a bit of a flash crash, right? High here to where you broke above it. That took you 65 days. Okay, so we're getting a lot in that 60 to 70 day range, 60 to 90 day range. That was a flash crash and a half. I want you guys to remember, anybody and everybody comparing this to the COVID crash, and people are saying this was way worse than the COVID crash, y'all forget too quickly. The COVID crash was nuts, man, nuts. It was absolutely nuts. Maybe for altcoins this is comparable to the COVID crash, but man, this was a whole different level. Whenever Bitcoin dropped 39% in a day, like that's insane. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. We never will from that time again, hopefully. Well, maybe not until the next one, right? We didn't cross that for quite some time. That might be a one-off as well. Right, 165 days later. This one we're in a downtrend, so we're not going to count it, right? Because we're not in a downtrend right now. I think that's it. Yeah, that's all the way to the prior bear market. So now we zoom out. Now comes the real, we did the homework, we did the digging part. Let's do the analytical part, where I drew the percentages. The percentages are the ones that are the short-term ones. We didn't even measure the days because it's basically immediate recovery. Okay, the percentages. The days, these are how long that it normally took. So on a 3-day time frame, we took about 84 days, 60 days, 68 days, 27 days, 27 days, 66 days, and a big long 165 days there with the COVID crash. With the exception of a couple of one-offs and some shakeouts or flash crashes that happened in this downtrend here, with the exception of those happening, being at these all-time high kind of areas typically is where we see these shorter lengths of time where these flash crashes work out. So there is hope that within a 22-day period, a 9-day period, a 9-day period here, 23-day, or I'm sorry, that's a 66-day period, a 9-day, both of these 9-day periods here, that we could recover in a very short amount of time. However, most of the time, it looks like we're at anything from a 60 to a 90-day period. Most of the time, right? It's a 60 to 90-day period before we move up higher. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I can't imagine that from here, 60 days later, it's December, and we haven't seen new all-time highs. I can't imagine that between now and, let's say, 90 days later, it's January and we haven't seen new all-time highs. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that, right? I mean, if that was the case, maybe the bull market really is over. Maybe we're going through something else right now, but I don't think that's the case. I think what we just saw was a major liquidation grab event, liquidity grab event, and the shorts are piled on super high now. The longs over the past 30 days are obliterated, completely obliterated, right? This was flipped yesterday before that big shakeup. Literally, the shorts were at 7 billion and the longs are at 20. And now it's flipped after that massive shakeout. So I think that with that amount of shorts piled on, we're going to have some fuel to the fire to go higher. I am curious to see what happens between now and the coming days. I'm really hoping that we do have a short-lived experience, that we do see new all-time highs sooner than later. I'm really hoping that that's what happens. But just being objective here, it's quite possible that we don't start pumping until December. I shouldn't say that. It's quite possible that we don't see new all-time highs until December. And with that, notice how here's your flash crash. You didn't go lower, right? You didn't go lower that whole time that you were consolidating below this high. You didn't go lower, but you weren't really doing much, right? You were kind of volatile. Here, after that flash crash, you did go slightly lower, but not really, right? Here, same thing, not really. Here, after this flash crash, you did go lower, but rather immediately, and it wasn't really that much lower, right? Again, not that much lower. Most of the move was done. Here, same thing, right? Oh, I measured from the top. I meant to measure from the crash. Okay, so see, that's nice. Another one in our favor for these less than 60 days. Hey, there we go. Got another one that takes less than 60. You didn't go lower after the crash, though, right? And then here, after this flash crash, you didn't go lower either. You came back up rather immediately. So, and I suppose this one, even though we're drawing 55 days or 165 days till you saw new relevant highs, you did recover pretty quickly. This one might be a one-off. It's kind of a different situation, right? Different circumstances altogether. You were in a downtrend and it was the COVID crash. Maybe we won't count that in our analysis, but there were a couple of them that were immediate as well. And then there's let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 that were all relatively immediate. Within the first month, you actually moved up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 here that were not. So actually, if we're looking at this, if we're being objective, oh, even here, 5. Look at that. If we're being fair, I'm sorry to go back on this, but with our new look at this, there's one moment here. Remember, I drew the percentages. The percentages are just the short-lived. Immediately, you move back up, right? They're flash crashes, but you move back up immediately. Well, there's 1 there, 2 there, 3 there, and then on top of that, there's 4, 5. All 5 of those moments lasted less than a month. Where here, 1, 2, 3, 4 lasted over a month. So, in that sense, maybe there actually is a possibility that before the end of the month we start to recover, and not just recover, but see new all-time highs. That goes good for my hunger strike. I'm on day 3 now of not eating. In case you guys didn't know, I'm not eating until Bitcoin sees new all-time highs. I'm sticking to it. My skin, I swear, not eating makes your skin look really good. I swear. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But anyways, 112K now. I'm a little bit more optimistic. That's nice to see because genuinely, guys, I mean, we just went through this. If you've been watching this video, you went through all of it with me. You know why we've selected these flash crashes, for what reason, and why some of them might have been skips because they were in bear markets, right? Downtrends, kind of a different circumstance. You're not going to recover from those, right? You're going to keep going lower. There's not going to be a higher high there, so it wouldn't really be fair to measure the amount of time. And then some of these outliers, I hope it's obvious as to why we didn't take those. And we stopped at last cycle. We didn't go back to all the other cycles because I think it's irrelevant, right? Just 2 cycles worth is probably relevant enough information. We don't see them happen often, but when they do happen, this cycle, what a good argument to make is that 3 out of 4 of them have all lasted for multiple months, 2 months or more, right? One of them was instantly recovered, and then we consolidated like shortly after there. So maybe we're overdue for one of these moments where we are forgiven a little bit sooner as far as this correction goes. I don't know. Just a thought there. I don't think that we're not going to see new all-time highs until December. But let's be fair, it's something we should consider. It is possible that we meander, that we consolidate in this area, right? As we did with this zone here, as we even did after this here, as we did here, as we did here. Most of the time, it's very boring after these flash crash moments. Even here, you consolidated, right? And this is on a 3-day time frame, so each of these candles is like 3 days, right? So 2 candles is about a week. Here you consolidated. It was very boring. Very, very boring after all these flash crash moments, right? Except for the ones where you immediately recover. And I don't know if we're getting an immediate recovery here. So I would think, best case scenario, by the end of October, if not very early November, that would be when we start to see new all-time highs. Not when we start to move up, but when we see new all-time highs. I'm under the assumption that what we're going to see is some volatility, right, in this range. I would believe that Bitcoin goes below 110K again. I think that that's going to happen. Did we do it today? Almost. And if I'm wrong, then we should know rather immediately. Over the coming days, we should recover right? In the next like week, if we're up at 125K again, we're likely not going to stop until we see new all-time highs. It all depends. It all depends. But I think that that's good enough for from here. So I'm probably just gonna end the video there. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'm very confident that the bull market is still alive and well. I just think that we're gonna figure ourselves out here. There will be, on the bright side, there will be opportunities from this. And I wouldn't be surprised, as crazy as it sounds, we're talking about Bitcoin consolidating all this time. This might be a good time for altcoins to start rallying. This might be a good time for alt season really to kick off, because a lot of altcoins, they're on sale and they're a lot more volatile than Bitcoin. They're easier to influence the price. So a lot of these altcoins are on discount and people are looking to buy some. They're probably going to, right? So we might get a little altcoin rally while Bitcoin is chilling, right? Like what's this? Zcash is up 10% already. Well, Zcash is just unstoppable, man. But yeah, some of these coins are rebounding quite nicely. And they might continue to while Bitcoin's consolidating, right? Knowing that Bitcoin's not entering a bear market, knowing that we're just moving sideways and kind of volatile, figuring ourselves out, that gives altcoins a chance to breathe, and they will breathe. And that could bring new life into the markets. Altcoins pump, profits are taken, and then they rotate that into Bitcoin, and then that's the catalyst that sends us to new all-time highs. I don't know. Anyways, I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm sure you're all aware by now of the account that opened up a short like 20 minutes before, or like an hour or two before, I forget what it was, right before the dump happened. If there's any doubts in your head, I mean, someone made $188 million off of this dump. If there's any doubt in your head that this was anything but orchestrated, that's okay. We can agree to disagree, but you've got your head in a can somewhere, man. I don't know how much more obvious they could make it. This is clearly an orchestrated event, and whether you like Donald Trump or you don't like Donald Trump, I actually think the Trumps might have had something to do with it too. It all happened around CZ's pardon date. They probably made a deal, right? I voted for Trump. I like Trump, but I'm not an idiot, and maybe they had nothing to do with it, but I'm assuming that there was layers and layers of high up crypto elite people who were profiting off of this. And we'll probably know more about it as time goes on. Whatever the story is right now, it's probably not real. It's all we know is that it's manipulated, and it's definitely the people at the top of the crypto chain. They were aware. They were aware of what's going on, and this was definitely an orchestrated move. And with that, I think that only validates the fact that this is not the end of the bull market. We've got a lot of growth to go. They want to shake you out before the move happens. That way you're not part of it. That way they have more parts of it. Anyways, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye.